Did you know that for people diagnosed with blood cancers such as leukemia or lymphoma, a bone marrow transplant may be their best or only hope for a cure? Now, how many of you out there are thinking, well, surely those patients have a mom, dad, cousin, sister who would be a perfect match for such a transplant? Well, the sad reality is that 70% of patients who need a transplant do not have a matching donor in their family. That means that 70% of patients are counting on unrelated donors, perhaps even a stranger, to save their lives. Today, I want to explain to you how bone marrow donation works. Each and every one of you out there has the power to save someone's life through bone marrow donation. I've done some research on this topic and I've signed up to be a bone marrow donor myself. I'd like to debunk a couple of myths about bone marrow donation for you, and I'd like to tell you how easy it is to register to become a donor online. Now, probably the most common myth you hear in regards to bone marrow donation is it's extremely painful. You gotta have surgery, and don't they take out a chunk of your bone? Those are not necessarily true at all. Now, there are two ways to collect bone marrow. The first of which is called peripheral blood stem cell. This method is a non-surgical method. It's not done at a hospital, it is not surgery, and it's typically performed at a donation center. According to marrowdrives.org, 3 out of 4 donations are collected this way. So that means 3 out of 4 donations do not require surgery. How it works is the donor is given a drug called filgrastim. Now, this drug is injected once a day for 5 consecutive days. On the 6th day, the donor will go to a donation center where blood will be drawn from them. So a needle is in one of your arms, and your blood will go through a tube into a machine where the blood-forming cells will be extracted from your blood. The rest of your blood is returned to you in your other arm by a needle in your other arm. If you've ever donated plasma, it's a very similar process. We're just removing a different component from your blood. The whole procedure will take about 8 hours, and side effects include headaches. There could be some muscle and bone soreness or aches in the days leading up to the collection, which is a side effect of the drug that the donors are given. But in general, donors report feeling back to their normal selves within 1 to 2 days. The other method is a surgical bone marrow donation collection method. It's a surgical procedure. It's done by a doctor at a hospital. So how it works is donors are given anesthesia, either general anesthesia where you're completely unconscious or local anesthesia where the area of the collection is numbed. So there's no pain felt to you during the procedures. You have anesthesia to block any pain that you might feel. The doctor inserts a hollow needle into the back of each of your pelvic bones, which is where an adult's a good chunk of blood marrow is stored. The doctor removes about 5% of your total bone marrow. Now, these needle marks are tiny. They're not incisions. They don't require stitches. It's really just a needle puncture mark there at the back of your pelvic bones. And again, 5% of your marrow is withdrawn, and most donors go home the same day or maybe the next morning. Side effects involved with this method include some back pain, some hip pain, fatigue, some muscle soreness, maybe some headaches, but most donors report feeling completely recovered within a few weeks. This loss of 5% of your bone marrow does not in any way compromise your immune system, and it does not make you weaker at all. And in fact, your body is able to reproduce and replace the lost bone marrow within 4 to 6 weeks. So this 5% that you've lost does not compromise your personal body at all. Your body is well equipped to deal with this. Another common myth might be, well, it doesn't matter what my ethnicity is. There's lots of other people out there donating. I don't need to worry about that, right? Wrong. According to BeTheMatch.org, your best chance at finding a marrow match are by looking within your own ethnic group. On the national registries, ethnic groups, minority groups, and mixed race groups actually are severely underrepresented. So if you are a minority, or if you're a mixed race person who identifies themselves as a mixed race, your chances of finding a donor get a lot lower. It becomes a lot more complicated. Of the people who are bone marrow donors, only 3% of them identify themselves as being of a mixed race. So you can appreciate how small the numbers get when you're looking for that one person who can save your life. So it's important for everyone to become a donor, but if you identify yourself as a minority or of a mixed race, it's especially important to get you on the registry and to get those numbers raised so that we can help more people. Another myth is it's really hard to become a donor. I got to do paperwork, there's needles, I got to send my blood places, I don't know how to do this. Well, thanks to organizations such as BeTheMatch.org, it could not be easier. If you go to the website BeTheMatch.org, there's an easy series of steps that you can take to register to become a donor. They'll ask you some questions about your ethnicity, some health history questions, and then they'll ask for your address. A few days later, you'll receive a package in the mail. It will not contain needles. They won't ask for vials of your blood. Instead, they'll provide you with a cotton swab that you will wipe on the inside of your cheek and inside your mouth. You put this back into the envelope, mail it back to them, and those cells that are collected by that cotton swab are more than enough for them to test you to type your bone marrow. It doesn't cost you a penny. BeTheMatch.org already pays for all the postage and pays for the testing. No needles, no blood. It could not be easier. Today I've explained to you how the process of bone marrow donation works. I've cleared up a couple of myths and misconceptions about donation as well. I've stressed how each of you has the potential to save a life and explained how you can register to become a donor yourself. As I mentioned before, 70% of patients need an unrelated donor to save their lives. You are that 70%. Please register to be a bone marrow donor at BeTheMatch.org. Just a few minutes of your time today could be the key to saving someone's life tomorrow.